Good morning, everyone. In this video lesson, we are going to study about characteristic of ionosphere, ionospheric wave propagation. The learning outcomes of this lesson are: we can know about the structure of the ionosphere, characteristics of the ionosphere layers and their effects, ionospheric wave propagation or sky wave propagation. In the last lesson, we have discussed about different types of wave propagation, details about ground wave propagation, and we also studied about space wave propagation in detail. Types of wave propagation review. There are various methods for propagation of waves. They are ground wave or surface wave propagation. This is the ground wave propagation, transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna. The waves are passing to the ground. Sky wave propagation or ionospheric wave propagation. So through ionosphere, the waves are transmitted toward the distant end. We will be discussing in detail about ionosphere in this lesson. We also studied about the space wave propagation. It is above certain height. It is also called as direct wave propagation or line of sight wave propagation. And we also have the tropospheric scatter propagation. And then we can make use of communication satellite for extraterrestrial propagation or satellite communication. Ground wave propagation, it is also called as space wave propagation. As we have studied, ground wave is that electromagnetic wave which is guided along the surface of the earth. The ground wave, as being produced by vertical antenna, is vertically polarized to prevent short circuiting the electric component. The ground wave propagation along the surface of earth induces charge in earth which travel with wave and hence constitute a current. A wave induces currents in the ground and it passes and thus loses energy by absorption. There may be certain absorptions. Energy can be maybe diffracted. So as the wave propagating over the surface of the earth, as shown in the figure, it tilts over more and more and more and increases tilt, causes greater short circuiting of the electric field component of the wave and hence reduces the field strength. And hence ground wave propagation is widely used for local broadcasting in daytime applications. And we also studied about the space wave propagation in detail. We have at certain height space wave propagation exists. It is also called as a direct wave propagation or line of sight propagation. Space waves are direct waves which travel in straight lines. However, since they depend on line of sight condition, space waves are limited in their propagation by curvature of the earth. Thus, they propagate similar to the electromagnetic waves in the free space. Space wave or line of sight propagation is useful at high frequencies in the VHF, UHF, and microwave from 30 megahertz onwards. This mode of propagation is through troposphere, that portion of the atmosphere which extends from Earth's surface to the height 15 kilometers. Line of sight communication normally abbreviated as LOS, and we can transmit the signal from transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna. So the receiving at the receiving side, we can receive the direct wave. We can also receive the signal through ground reflected wave or through the other layers of the atmosphere, as we have discussed in detail in the previous video lesson. Now we will study about ionosphere in detail in the present lesson. The upper part of the Earth's atmosphere absorbs large quantity of radiation from the sun. So there is a large quantity of radiation that is absorbing from the sun. So in this we will be studying about the structure of the ionosphere. This radiation energy not only heats the atmosphere but also produces some ionization in the form of electrons, positive and negative ions. The part of the upper atmosphere where ionization is appreciable is called the ionosphere. And we have different layers in the ionosphere. So we have different layers exist. D layer existing at a height of 70 kilometers, then E layer 100 kilometers, then we have F1 layer, F2 layer. So this is from the ground level up to 300 kilometers or sometimes 400 kilometers, the ionosphere layer exists. The ionization in ionosphere tends to be slight as a result of differences in the physical properties of the atmosphere at different heights. Because of the various kinds of radiation are involved, such as alpha, beta, gamma radiation from the sun. And this is the variation of electron density versus height. This is on y-axis, we have height in kilometers. On x-axis, we have electron density, the number of electrons per meter cube. So as the height increases, when the height is increasing, so we have daytime effect. During daytime, there is a more number of electron densities, E layer, F1 layer, F2 layer. Then during night time, we have sporadic E layer. Then it goes up to the F2 layer. So the number of electrons present in the atmosphere depends on the height from the surface of the Earth. Therefore, the ionosphere is the upper portion of the atmosphere which absorbs large quantity of radiation energy from the sun, thus becoming heated and ionized. There are variations in the physical properties of the atmosphere such as temperature, density and composition because of the number of electrons. Because of this, the different types of radiations received. The ionosphere tend to be stratified rather than regular. So the most important ionizing agents are ultraviolet, alpha, beta, and gamma radiations that are there from the sun, as well as cosmic radiations from stars. So the ionization, this ionosphere consists of four main layers, namely D layer, E layer, so F1 layer, F2 layer that exist. The predominant layers in ionosphere are D layer, E layer, F1 and F2 layers. The level of ionization increases with height above the Earth and is greater in daytime. So during daytime, the ionization is more. That means we have more number of electrons present during daytime when compared with the night. As we have seen in the previous slide, the electron density is more during daytime. At night, as solar radiation is not received, the D layer and E regions disappear, and F1 and F2 layers combine into a single layer. So there are so many variations in that ionosphere. As we have seen, the ionosphere consists of D layer, E layer, F1 layer, and F2 layer. During night time, there are no solar radiations. That is the reason D layer and E layer disappears. And F1 and F2 layer, they are combining into a single layer called F layer. Ionization levels changes with the amount of solar activity. As the sun radiation activity is changing, the number of ions, electrons per meter cube also changes. Solar activity varies greatly over a 11-year cycle known as sunspot cycle. Solar radiations are predominant here. Every 11 years, we have a sunspot cycle. So this activity is varying. Peaks in this cycle are most favorable conditions for ionospheric propagation. So in the sunspot cycle, we have peaks that are more favorable conditions for ionospheric propagation. The most recent peaks occur in the year 2000, and we have the AM radio broadcasting station. This is the general structure of how the signals are transmitted through the ionosphere. This tower, we have antenna radiating the AM radio signal. For example, a particular radio channel is radiated by using AM radio station, and they radiated and they go up to ionosphere layers. So this wave going up to ionosphere layer and returning back. Here we can collect the signal, or it is completing the next half, and further they can be extended. Similarly, in this direction also it is going up to certain E layer. Sometimes E layer also during daytime, E layer reflecting the signals. F1 layer reflect the signals. F2 layer reflect the signals. F1 and F2 layers, they are combining during night. So D layer is not that much reflecting layer. So F layer is the most important layer for the ionospheric communication. Ionospheric layers during daytime and nighttime. So this is during daytime. D layer, E layer, F1 layer, F2 layer. So this right half cycle, this is during daytime. The left half diagram shown during night time, what are the layers present. During daytime, we have D layer, E layer is present, F1 layer is also present, F2 layer also present. So whereas during night time, the D layer disappears, there is no D layer here. The electrons are not that much high enough to reflect the signal. E layer is present. F1 and F2 layers are combined, then it forms F layer during night. The ionosphere layers are different at night time than they are in the daytime. That is the reason daytime we have D layer, E layer, F1 layer, F2 layer. At certain height, the ionosphere existing. It starts from 70 kilometer onwards and extend up to 400 kilometers. Whereas during night time, E layer is present, D layer disappears, F1 and F2 layers are combined to form F layer. So this is the general overview of ionosphere layers with respect to height. This diagram is clearly showing at what height the ionosphere layers are existing. As we have seen, ionosphere starts from 70 kilometers onwards. It varies. Sometimes it starts from 50 kilometers, but many occasions it starts from 70 kilometers onwards. This is the Earth surface. We have a troposphere, stratosphere, then ionosphere. Ionosphere, this is the D layer, 50 to 90 kilometers. E layer, 90 to 140 kilometers. 90 to 140 kilometers means it has got certain thickness. E layer starts from 90 kilometers onwards and extend up to 140 kilometers onwards. Similarly, from 140 to 250 kilometers, we have F1 layer, and 250 kilometers to 400 kilometers, F2 layer exists. The ionization density is changing. So D layer, E layer it is increasing, F1 layer increasing, F2 layer increasing means F1 and F2 layers will always present, whether irrespective of daytime or night time. During seasonal variations, during daytime and nighttime, these layers will have different widths, will have different ionization densities. D layer, the D layer almost exists at 70 kilometers, which is the lowest existing layer at an average height of 70 kilometers with a thickness of 10 kilometers. It may extend from 70 kilometers to 80 kilometers. The thickness of D layer is 10 kilometers. The degree of ionization depends on the altitude of the sun above the horizon. We have the distance, how much ionization that is existing. It is depending upon the altitude of the sun above the horizon. D layer disappears during night time. It is the least important layer from the point of HF propagation. For ionospheric propagation, the layer disappears during night time. That is the reason during night time there are no reflections from the D layer. So it is the least important layer for propagation applications. It reflects some very low frequency and low frequency waves and absorbs medium frequency and high frequency waves to a certain effect. If we want to transmit the signal to the D layer, then it is better to transmit VLF and low frequency waves, because these waves will be reflected by the D layer and the reflected energy will be collected at the receiving end or to recover back the message. So whereas this layer absorbs medium frequency and high frequency to certain extent. But in general, this is the least important layer for the point of ionospheric communication, because this D layer disappears during night time. Now we have E layer. E layer exists at about 100 kilometers with a thickness of perhaps 25 kilometers. E layer reduces to certain extent at night. There is a reduction of this particular layer. Recombination of ions into molecules is the reason for the reduction of E layer during night time. During night time, the thickness is becoming less than 25 kilometers for the E layer. The reason is the ions, the electrons, the particles which are there in the E layer that are recombining into molecules and reduces the thickness during night. E layer aid in medium frequency surface wave propagation and little to reflect some high frequencies in daytime. So E layer is the more important layer for medium wave frequency, but high frequencies it is not important because E layer will not reflect HF signals during night. So E layer reflects the signals, some HF waves only during daytime. Hence E layer aid medium wave frequency surface wave propagation a little and to reflect some HF waves in daytime. So the E layer exists at about 100 kilometers with a thickness of 25 kilometers. E layer reduces to certain extent during night time, and then recombination of the ions into molecules is one of the reasons for the reduction of the E layer during night time. E layer aid medium wave frequencies, space wave propagation for a little effect and to reflect some HF wave in daytime. Then we have sporadic E layer. It is a thin layer of very high ionization density. The sporadic E layer, it is a very thin layer. The ionization density, the number of electrons, number of ions present in that layer are very high. It is due to the anomalous and sporadic ionization. It is often persists even density night time also. It is height ranging from 90 kilometers to 130 kilometers. The sporadic E layer, abbreviated as ES layer, appears to the form of clouds of different size from 1 kilometer to several hundreds of kilometers. It does not have an important part in long distance propagation because so many regularities are there in the sporadic E layer. So it does not have an important part in long distance propagation. But it sometimes permits us expectedly good reception. It depends on the ionization density. Now we have the F1 layer. F1 layer exists at a height of 180 kilometers in daytime and combines with the F2 layer during night. So F1 layer exists at a height of 180 kilometers in daytime and it is combining with F2 layer during night. F1 layer daytime thickness is about 20 kilometers. The HF layers which pass through E layer are reflected by F2 layer. Some of the HF signal will be passing through E layer instead of reflections from E layer. So they will be reflected by F2 layer. More absorptions for HF wave is mainly effective for F1 layer. F1 layer exists at a height of 180 kilometers in daytime and combines with F2 layer during night time. Its daytime thickness is about 20 kilometers. Although some HF waves are reflected from it, most passes through it to be reflected from the F2 layer. Thus, the main effect of F1 layer is to provide more absorption for HF waves. And we have F2 layer. F2 layer is the most important reflecting medium for high frequency radio waves. F2 layer is the most important layer for ionospheric propagation. We are making use of the reflection properties of the F2 layer for propagating the signal through the ionosphere. Its approximate thickness can be up to 200 kilometers. Its height ranging from 250 kilometers to 400 kilometers in daytime. It starts from 250 kilometers onwards and extend up to 400 kilometers onwards with an average thickness of 150 to 200 kilometers approximately. It varies. At night time, it falls to a height of about 300 kilometers, where it combined with F1 layer forms F layer. So F1 and F2 are combined during night time and we will be calling it as F layer. F layer height and ionization density vary tremendously depends on the time of the day, the ambient temperature. It also depends on the sun's radiation. The time of the day, the daytime, midday sun radiation is more. So ionization density depends largely upon the atmospheric conditions such as time of the day, ambient temperature, and sunspot cycle. F layer remains during the night time because the atmosphere is so rarefied at these heights that ions takes longer time to combine. That is the reason during night time F1 and F2 layer are combined and forming F layer. Then we have sunspot cycle. The characteristics of ionosphere closely follow the 11-year sunspot cycle. For every 11 years, sunspot cycle existing. These are spot on the sun called sunspots or solar flares. When sunspots appear, ionization increases. The changes follow a cycle of 11 years. The characteristics of the ionosphere layers can be predicted with the knowledge of sunspot cycle. So with the sunspot cycle knowledge, we can able to identify the characteristics, we can able to study the characteristics of the ionosphere layers. Then Dellinger effect, sudden disappearance of radio signals or fade out of a signal is called Dellinger effect. This is due to burst of ionization radiation from eruption on sun. These are the various ionospheric effects on radio wave propagation, HF absorption, flare X-ray energy particles from the sun, UV particles, visible particles, there's satellite communication, communication broadcasting, observatory satellites, we have navigation purpose satellites, there is a time delay in the reception. So whereas these are for TV broadcasting and other communication applications, and we have D layer, E layer, F layer. So this is the ES layer. This is the most important reflection layer. We have a transmitter here. Transmitter is transmitting the signal from the ground station, and it go up to F layer, and F layer will be reflecting the signal, and we can collect the receiver signal at the distant end. We are making use of the reflection properties of the ionosphere layer. The signal has to reflect from the ionosphere so that that reflected energy will be available at the distant end. So with the concept of this ionospheric layers and its effects, we will study in detail about the sky wave propagation, which is also known as a ionospheric propagation. And before dealing with the sky wave propagation, let us summarize what we have studied about the ionospheric layers and its effects. Ionosphere is the upper portion of the atmosphere which absorbs large quantities of radiation energy from the sun, thus becoming heated and ionized. There are variations in the physical properties of the atmosphere, such as temperature, density, and composition. Because of this and the different types of radiations received, the ionosphere tends to be varying rather than regular. The most important ionization agents are ultraviolet light, alpha, beta, and gamma radiation from the sun, as well as cosmic ray radiations. The ionosphere consists of 4 layers, namely D layer, E layer, F1 layer, and F2 layer. The D layer is the lowest existing at an average height of 70 kilometers with an average thickness of 10 kilometers. The degree of its ionization depends on the altitude of the sun above the horizon, and thus it disappears during night. It is the least important layer from the point of view of HF propagation. It reflects some very low frequency and low frequency waves and absorbs medium frequency and high frequency waves to a certain extent. The D layer is next in height, existing at a height of 100 kilometers with a thickness of perhaps 25 kilometers. Like the D layer, E layer also disappears during night. The reason for these disappearances is the recombination of the ions into molecules. This is due to the absence of sun during night time. The main effect of the E layer are to aid medium wave frequency surface wave propagation a little and to reflect some HF waves in daytime. F1 layer exists at a height of 180 kilometers in daytime, and combined with the F2 layer during night time, its daytime thickness is about 20 kilometers. Although some HF waves are reflected from it, most passes through it to be reflected from the F2 layer. Thus, the main effect of F1 layer is to provide more absorptions for HF signals. The F2 layer is the most important reflecting medium for high frequency radio waves. Its approximate thickness can be up to 200 kilometers. and its height ranges from 250 kilometers to 400 kilometers in daytime. At night time, it falls to a height of about 300 kilometers, where it combines with F1 layer to form F layer. So this F layer exists during night time, and this is the most important layer for the ionospheric propagation. So EM waves in the frequency range from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz are returned back to Earth from the ionized regions of the upper atmosphere called ionosphere. So in skywave propagation, we are making use of the frequencies from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. Up to 2 megahertz signals are used for ground wave propagation, as we have seen. VHF, UHF are used for skywave propagation. We also study space wave propagation, but skywave propagation makes use of frequencies from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. They will be returned back to Earth from the ionized regions. If the frequency is above 30 megahertz, and those signals will pass through the ionosphere and they will not be returned back by the ionosphere. So that is the reason the maximum frequency of transmission for ionosphere communication is 30 megahertz. They will be returned back to Earth from the ionized regions of the upper atmosphere, that is F1 layer, F2 layer, or F layer during night. So the frequency of operation for skywave propagation is 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. Different ionospheric layers are used to propagate EM waves in the required direction and to the required area. Propagation of EM waves using ionosphere is called ionospheric wave propagation. So we have propagation of EM waves that is passing through ionosphere, striking the ionosphere, and returning back from the ionospheric layer. So we call this type of propagation as the ionospheric propagation. The sky wave represents energy sent from the transmitter that reaches the receiving antenna as a result of bending of the wave path by the ionosphere. So ionosphere will reflect the signal, and there is a bending of the wave by the ionosphere. So energy sent from the transmitter, which reaches the receiving antenna through the reflections that are coming from the bending reflections that are coming from the ionospheric layers. Sky wave propagation is useful for long distance point-to-point communication around the globe through multi-half reflections that we will see in the diagram. So the most important application of the sky wave propagation is it is used for long distance from one point to other point communication around the globe, and we are making use of different hops, means one cycle, two cycle, like that. We have different hops. The most important application area of the sky wave propagation is for long distance, that to point around the globe through multi-half. Multi-half means from one half distance to other half, next half, like that. The signal will be going up to the ionosphere, coming back from the ionosphere to the earth, and again going to ionosphere. Like that, it is completing multi-halves so that the signal will be propagating to long distance. So this is the structure of the sky wave propagation. We have transmitting antenna. This is the receiving antenna at a height of nearly 150 kilometers. F layer. In general, F layer will reflect the signal, and there is a bending of light from the D and E layers. The sky wave, this is the wave that we are propagating. We are radiating into the space by using transmitting antenna here. The frequency of operation used for this communication is from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. Those signals will go up to sky. Sky means in the up to ionosphere. There is a refraction from some layers. If it is penetrating up to a layer, there will be reflection from that layer. Depends on the frequency of operation, which we have from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. So we are making use of the reflection properties of the ionosphere. Instead of transmitting the signal through ground, instead of transmitting the signal through satellite, we are making use of the ionosphere. The signal is sent up to ionosphere. Ionosphere is refracting the sky wave and it will be returned toward the distant end. Again, if we transmit the signal here, it go up to the next half. This half, we call this as half. This is 1/2 distance, 2/2. Like that, we can cover the long distance communication. This is the multi-half propagation. It is a transmitter transmitting the signal. It goes up to ionosphere layer. Ionosphere is reflecting. The signal is received here. During 1/2 distance, this is the coverage of the signal. This much distance it is covering. If you radiate the signal from here, then it go up to the ionosphere, returning back, and we have receiver here. So we can increase the distance of transmission. If you are making use of 2/2, this is 2/2 propagation. 1/2, the signal is returned back one time, the next half, the next time the signal is returned back. So we are able to cover the distance here. So it depends upon how much power level we are radiating, what is the frequency of operation from the transmitting end, how much distance of transmission we need to transmit. By considering all these parameters, we can make use of this ionospheric propagation. Ionospheric propagation is also called as skywave propagation. The skywave propagation is suitable for short waves only. It is often referred to as a shortwave communication. Sometimes we call it as shortwave propagation. Since long distance point-to-point communication is possible with skywave propagation, so it is also called as sometimes point-to-point skywave ionospheric propagation by scientists and engineers. And there are different variations, irregularities in the ionosphere. Due to that, there is a fading of the signal. Fading means fluctuations in the received signal strength. The received signal is not constant amplitude. There are fluctuations in the received signal strength. So after a single reflection from the ionosphere, the radio wave can cover up to 4,000 kilometers. It is covering maximum distance for 1/2 coverage. The signal received due to the sky wave are subjected to fading because there are no repeaters and on the sky wave. Only the signal will be reflected back from the ionosphere. There is no amplification. That is the reason there are so many variations in the ionosphere. Irregularities are there in the ionosphere. Seasonal variations, day variations, night variations. Because of it, the signal is subjected to fading. Because of number of waves connected by different paths to the receiving point. So at the receiving point, the waves are coming in different directions. So when there are coming different directions, there will be different wavelengths, different delay times. Due to that, there are fluctuations in the received signals. Fading can be overcome by using automatic volume control, AVC or AGC, which we will use to minimize the effects of the fading. We also use the diversity reception system. Instead of receiving the signal through one path, we can receive the signal through two paths, space diversity. and we also receive the signal through different frequencies, frequency diversity. We have different diversity reception techniques for reducing the effects of the fading. We can also make use of automatic gain control to minimize somewhat the fading effect. Now we see about the effects of the ionosphere on skywave. EM waves are returned to Earth by one of the layers of the ionosphere, mostly F layer. During daytime, F1 and F2 layer. F2 layer is the most important reflection layer. So EM waves are returned to Earth by one of the layers of the ionosphere by reflection, but the actual mechanism involved is the refraction, just bending. As the ionization density increases for wave approaching the given layer at an angle, the refractive index of the layer is reduced. Hence, the incident wave is gradually bending farther away from the normal. It absorbs various amounts of energy from the wave, and it also acts as a radio mirror that eventually bends the wave back towards the Earth. The ability of the ionosphere to return a wave to Earth depends upon frequency of the wave. So we have the frequency of transmission from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz. So it depends on the frequency of operation. The angle of incidence, how much angle of incidence we are sending the signal. The ion density of the various layers. The ion density is varying, seasonal variations, day and night variations. And hence the ability of the ionosphere to return a wave to Earth depends mainly on the frequency of the wave, the angle of incidence, and the ionization density of the various layers. The mechanism involved in the skywave propagation. The mechanism of ionosphere propagation looks like a reflection of EM waves, but the original process involved is the refraction. Refractive index decreases as the wave moves upward. As the wave moves upward, the refractive index decreases. Due to that, there is a bending of the EM. As a result of the angle of refraction goes on deviating from the normal as the wave enters from denser medium to rarer medium. So because of this, there are refractions. So we have ionosphere, ionization density increasing, refractive index decreases. And the refractive index decreases, so what is happening? It is going from denser medium to rarer medium, and then there is a bending of the electromagnetic waves. This medium is the denser medium. As the height increases, it is becoming the rarer medium. So that there are refractions from the different layers of the ionosphere, and then the signal will be bending away from the normal. Due to that, the signal will be collected at the receiving end. Instead of propagating the signal through the ground, we are propagating the signal through the ionospheric layers. The most important phenomena is the refraction from the different layers of the ionosphere. The wave entering at point P deviates more and more and reaches the highest point where it travels parallel to the Earth. In this way, the radio wave, after entering the ionosphere at point P, penetrates slightly to the layers of the ionosphere, and after reaching the peak point, and thereafter moves downwards, leaves the ionosphere at point Q, and finally return back to Earth. The higher the frequency, the more ionization is necessary for refraction. More number of ions are required as we make use of higher frequency. Otherwise, the signal will be escaping through the ionosphere. A region near to the transmitter where the signal from the ionosphere cannot be received is called skip zone. HF communication via ionosphere is noisy and uncertain because of so many irregularities in the ionosphere. It is prone to phase shifting and frequency selective fading. Ionospheric propagation is relatively unrealistic and noisy, but I choose worldwide communication in the HF range. It is the simplest, cheapest mode of communication. So electromagnetic waves in the frequency range from 1.5 megahertz to 30 megahertz are returned back to the Earth from the ionized region in the upper atmosphere called ionosphere. So this type of propagation, we are calling it as ionospheric propagation or the square wave propagation. Uses of ionospheric propagation. It is used to limited extent for telephony, for ship and aircraft communication extensively, amateur radio, shortwave broadcasting. In all these applications, we are making use of the ionosphere. Now we'll see the summary. The main important points of the today's lesson are the part of the upper atmosphere where ionization is appreciable is called ionosphere. Ionosphere consists of D layer, E layer, F1 layer, and F2 layer. During nighttime, and F1 and F2 are combined, we call it as F layer. F layer is the most important layer, and it has two parts, F1 layer and F2 layer. D layer is the lowest, exists at an average height of 70 kilometers with an average thickness of 10 kilometers. D layer reflects some very low frequency and low frequency waves and absorbs medium wave frequency and high frequency wave to a certain extent. The E layer exists at about 100 kilometers with a thickness of perhaps 25 kilometers. F1 layer exists at a height of 180 kilometers in daytime and combines with F2 layer at night. Sporadic E layer is the thin layer of the very high ionization density which exists in the form of clouds. F2 layer exists height range from 250 kilometers to 400 kilometers during daytime. Ionization levels change with the amount of solar activity. Fading of signals occur due to sun flares or decline effect. Sky wave is an EM wave that is returned to Earth by the ionosphere. Short waves are used for space wave propagation. Ionospheric propagation, short wave propagation, point-to-point propagation are the other names of the sky wave propagation. Ionospheric propagation is relatively unreliable and noisy, but I choose worldwide communication in HF range. After a single reflection from the ionosphere, radio waves can cover distance up to 4,000 kilometers. Communication achieved through this type of propagation is referred to as point-to-point communication. If we make use of multi-halves, we can cover more distance of transmission. Critical frequency, skip distance, virtual height, maximum visible frequency. These are all the characteristics of the ionospheric propagation. All the characteristics which we will study in the next class. Now let us answer some quiz questions. The layer that disappears during night time is. Options are given. The correct choice is D layer. D layer disappears during night time. So it is not the important layer for the ionospheric communication. Question number 2. Sunspot cycle occurs for every. Options are provided. The correct choice is 11 years. D layer in the atmosphere is largely present. Options are given. Answering during daytime only D layer exists. Next question. Why HF radio propagation is used over long distance, better during peaks in the sunspot cycle? The reason is the ionization level in the ionosphere is higher during peaks of solar activity. The next question, why is the ionosphere more highly ionized during the daytime than nighttime? Ionization takes place due to sun's radiation. During daytime, due to sun's radiation, ionosphere layers are more active than during night. Long distance shortwave broadcasting uses, options are provided. The correct choice is the ionosphere. Ionosphere makes use of shortwave broadcasting for long distance applications. Next question, the other names for skywave propagation. Options are provided. The other name for skywave propagation is ionospheric propagation. It is also called as a shortwave propagation. So both is the correct choice. Now, frequently asked questions. Describe the structure of ionosphere. Explain different layers in ionosphere. Explain ionospheric wave propagation.